Welcome, everybody, to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest-running sales training podcast in the history of podcasts. My name is Bryan Neal.
My name is Bill Caskey.
Here every week, we are actually going to talk about something we talk about all the time, the Insider program, live training coaching with my friend Bill. And today's episode is going to be a little preview of the March 2026 session. Really good.
Yeah, we did that, I think, last month, and people like that because, you know, when you enroll in something, you kind of want to make sure that it's legit and it's up your alley and it's something that can benefit you. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the March 6th session. If you're not an insider already, make sure you go to advancedsellingpodcast.com. But you're going to hear a lot here about what we're going to cover. But it's not a pitch. We're going to actually start the process here today.
Yeah, and you need to be in the program. You just do.
Yeah.
And callback, we have in the show notes for this show a link to our January Mental Health for Salespeople series. It was all 4 episodes in January that Bill and I recorded. We're geared around mental health for salespeople. And ironically, Bill, you know, my outside of the podcast job, referee in football, I got to go back and talk to a local meeting, about 135 small college officials, a clinic that's put on here in our hometown in Indianapolis. And there are people from all over people from Tennessee and Ohio.
Awesome.
The person who organized it asked me to speak about mental health for officiating. And I've never heard anyone talk about that. And you talk about a group that could use a little group therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the kind of job where you go out like everyone's like, oh, you guys are so good. Those refs are fantastic.
No.
And then you leave and you're by yourself. And you got your ref buddies, but they're feeling the same way you are.
Yeah.
And so
for them to build you up when they're in the toilet too.
Okay, buddy. They yelled at me too. So I'm only telling you this because the reception we've gotten with our Mental Health for Salespeople series was a similar reception that I got from this talk.
Oh, really?
Not because of the talk, because of the subject. Mm-hmm. The subject is the star of the show. And so I highly encourage you to go to our show notes and tune back into that and feel free. You can send us an email at listener@advancedsellingpodcast.com. Yeah. I also got several texts from my friends who heard the episode and say, hey man, it sounds like you went through some hell back in the end of the year, which I did. And it was that's just a nice thing. Mm-hmm. And so it seems like we're on to something there. So I just want to call that back out. And then I did this thing in officiating. I'm like, boy, there's a little buzz here in the ether.
Mm-hmm. It's big. I mean, you can ignore it. You can ignore it and pretend like it's not there. And yeah, we talked, I think, in the first episode about how the owner of the Colts, Jim Irsay, before he passed, was a proponent of just the discussion of mental health and in the NFL, but across. And I saw where Purdue. The Purdue kid,
awful. He's the greatest kid. He interned for one of my clients. I got to meet him when I was working with him.
Did you really?
All summer long, he was there, and I've met him obviously on the field a bunch of times because of that relationship.
He passed self-induced, and it's just it's everywhere. And so I think we've got to, and we're going to keep coming back because the message that you sent us was, hey, this is good, but it's got to be more than just 4 weeks. So we're going to come back. We might even do an episode here in the next few weeks on that again, or maybe take one of those concepts and go deeper.
Yeah. Yep. In the meantime, we are going to go through an alliterative subject.
Yes.
For Insider.
So you know me, I love alliteration.
I love it.
And alliteration, obviously, for those who don't know, maybe is when you have 2 or 3 words that all begin with the same letter, or it could also be end with the same, like goodness, fineness, and borrowness, or whatever. It's something that rhymes or has a rhythm to it. And so the topic on March 6th is called From Content to Conquest. And then the idea here is that we all have content, and don't think of this as social media. It's not going to be a training on how to shoot video, even though that is content. It's going to be, what do you know? What do you have inside your heart, your head, your mind that you can put out to your prospect in a way that causes them to say, hey, I want to know more. Hey, I want to do business with you. Hey, here's a check. Or just, they don't have to say, hey, they can go right to that. And I don't think we think enough about what that sounds like. And so we're going to take this from content. Some of it might be social media content, but that's not the premise. The premise is stuff that you need to get out to the world so that people can buy from you.
There you go. Yeah. And I appreciate a good alliteration For sure. I didn't know if you ended them. There's still alliteration. I didn't know that.
Well, technically, it's probably not, but
it could be something else though. There could be another word for it.
Yeah,
I have to look that up.
Yeah.
So, this is good. And as we were talking about it, we want to make that clear because I kind of first took the word content to think about, social media. And it's really anything, content that you would share with a prospect on a first call, anything like that, to say, how do we package that up and think about it so that it turns into the right deal at the right time.
That's right. Yeah, so we're going to talk today, and Bryan and I didn't have much of a chance to talk before we went live, but this idea of perspective is fascinating to me because when you get coached, whether it's the Advanced Selling Podcast and you listen every week and you take these things that we talk about and you take them and implement them, you have to have a certain perspective about business life or sales, or you just have to have a certain perspective that allows these ideas in. And if the perspective is a closed off perspective, like no one's going to teach me anything about sales because I've been doing it for 30 years. Well, you're probably number one, not even a listener, but you're not going to get anything from us. We're not going to be able to help you with that perspective. And you can call it an attitude, a mindset, whatever. But I like the term perspective because it has to do with viewing. We see things in a certain way. And so I thought it would be useful today to talk about some perspectives that you need to have if you're going to use this idea of content, how you position yourself, how you package yourself to generate business so that more of this content on March 6th can seep in.
Love it. All right. You want to kick us off?
Okay. So here's a perspective. Number one is the client that you're pursuing does not come from the thing that you're doing, saying, posting. It doesn't come from the content. It comes from the relationship that begins. And I think we get hung up, especially in social media. Sometimes we think, well, we put a video out there and nobody reacted. Well, that's not the way people do. People don't watch a 4-minute video and then shovel you $500,000. But what they might see on the video, or they might hear on the cold outreach, or if you do a webinar, or if you are, speaking public, they might hear something that just tickles their need to hear more. And so I think we've got to stop putting the pressure. Same with a cold call. You don't go from cold call to order. You go from cold call to second call to third call to fourth call to maybe a group environment, maybe it's a PowerPoint, whatever. It's the beginning. And I think we have to stop putting so much burden on that call or on that piece of content. Just say, look, this is the start. That's the perspective.
That's a really good perspective change, because a lot of salespeople are so anxious to go.
We're impatient. Yeah.
First one that came to mind for me was, it started off tactical and I had to back it up to more perspective first. I'm going to go perspective and then throw the tactic at the end.
All right.
And that is the perspective of believing stories are better than data or case studies. Stories are better than data or case studies. Now you might say, well, a case study is a story. It's usually not in story form though. And there's a lot of buzzy evidence right now that nobody wants to read a case study or see a chart of data. They want to hear a real, authentic story. And until you believe that that's the way to communicate with people from your perspective, you will default to the slide that your marketing team gave you of the data, which falls very flat to people. And you'll learn to navigate kind of like a game show host through the data on the slide, and people will gloss over, and there's no connection. It does not fire the brain up in any way, shape, or form.
So true.
You learn to tell all that data stuff in story form with real names of people, places, descriptors, emotion, beginning, middle, end, you'll have a much better chance at connecting with the buyers at the right time in the right way. And I believe that requires a perspective change.
I totally agree. And when you say story, just like when I said content, you read something into that. When someone says story, I think sometimes we immediately go to, well, it's like a story of a person who came to me and they were in pain. Yes, it could be that. Or a story could be your story of how you see the world.
Yes.
I've been doing this business I'm just an example, for 12 years. And here's what I typically hear when I talk to people is, hey, Bill, I'm really struggling with A, B, and C. Or Bill, Bryan, I'm trying to figure out a better way. You can tell the story without even naming names. This is not just about a case study. This can be your experience with your marketplace and some of the problems they have.
Yes. And you can tell it with names. I mean, outside of NDAs. I just tapped in. There was a guy in a certification class I was in. His name is Dave. I'll use his last initial R. Bill, you've seen this person. Really successful, longtime seller, probably similar career place to you and me. And he's the guy in the room. He's just not, I could tell. And he's a resistor he's not a resistor. He's a healthy skeptic.
Okay.
So everything I'd say, well, yeah, but Bryan, what about that? Would that, constantly. And I just I got to give this guy some space. And I just gave him space. I'm like, look, man, you've been doing this a long time really well. Just try to find your way into it. If you can, you can. You can't, you can't. And when he left the certification class, I'm like, that's not going to go well. That's what I thought. This guy put one of our tools in. He had the best January he's ever had in his career. And he's like, I'm in. So there's a real story, a real person. I'm not going to use his last name.
No, that's good.
And he laughs about it, and I laugh about it. Now he's like a poster child for us in a good way. And I say, you know what else he'll be? If I show him a tool that doesn't work, he'll say it doesn't work, which I really appreciate and admire. And I tell him that. So last guy I ever thought would be a flag carrying guy for us is the first guy now, and will still push back on something bad. So there's a real story, a real human. So just an example.
But and the thing that this is part of your story, I presume, is that you gave them a space to say, no, it's not for me. Because once you intercede in that space and say, oh no, I'm going to prove to you, Dave, that this is the right thing. You're a fool not to hear it.
Yes.
Now he's done. You're done with that.
Oh yeah, he's going to resist more.
He's going to resist.
Going to be like, this guy's a jerk.
So you had to have the perspective that was different than what you were teaching. You had to have the perspective of, look, I'm going to do my best to bring him along. But if he comes, that's awesome. If he doesn't come, I got to pay attention to the other 25 people in here, because I can't let one guy change me so that I'm not showing up at my best for the other 20 people.
And that took me 20 years to figure that out. In this business, having some decent success, I still was trying to convert all the souls. That's great. Good.
That's good. So there's two perspectives there, all wrapped up in one. It's like a bonus.
2 for 1. Huh? BOGO.
So here's my last one here for this, and that is, I think whenever we start to create something that we're going to deliver to the world, we create it through our own eyes and our own perceptions. And it just can't be that way, because the world doesn't care about you. The world does not care about the fact that you have a quota you've got to reach. You've got, kids you've got to feed, mouths at home, wealth to create. It doesn't care. It really doesn't care. And I know it feels cold. It feels like, oh, Bill, but please, won't that market care about me? No, it doesn't. All it cares about is, can you help them? And all a person who hears your message, be it through a cold call, through a panel, through a whatever, it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what they think. And so your message had better be about them, about their angst, about their dilemmas. I'm beginning to really like the word dilemma instead of pain, because we all have dilemmas. We have, do I go this way or do I go that way? If I go this way, what happens then? Do I go this way or that way? So we have all these routes that we have to take to the promised land, and there's always a dilemma when we're faced with a decision. And so you have to make your approach, your content, your message about them. And I know we've said that for years, and I still see it. It's hard to do. And we're going to talk about how to do that on March 6th. But you have to at least have the perspective first that it's got to be about them.
Yes. Can I go do a 2A on that one?
Oh, 2A. Bonus me, baby.
Well, it's a little bit probably more tactical. My head's just in a tactical mode today. Think about the perspective of, what I'm going to say is 2 circles out. Let's do this. So the inner circle, that's what my product does. It's how it helps specifically. Oh, Bill, you've got a bad service with your billing software. My billing software, that's the middle circle. I'm sorry, that's the inner circle. That's the inner, that's the middle, that's the easy part. Then the middle circle is sort of like outside value sort of things. Where, we have good service and it's 24/7, 365 help desk and blah, blah, blah. The outer circle is this idea of what else can I do to help this person outside of even what I do? And to even have the perspective that the outer circle exists, I think is new for people. So an example would be if I'm calling on Bill and he's a dentist and I sell dentist, scheduling software. Well, my software makes it more efficient and you can get more people in and we have 24/7 help desk. But on the outside, I may know a dental practice financial advisor that Bill doesn't even know that I just make an introduction to, or someone who specializes in social media marketing for dentists. And I'm like, hey, Bill, you need to meet my friend Suzanne. She's really great at social media marketing. Just at least talk to her, that kind of thing. That's outer circle, like value things. And I think the perspective switch is to even turn that part of your brain on to think that it even exists, because we're so into the inner circle.
We're in the inner circle.
Yes.
And it's almost like there's a wall around that inner circle that we can't get out of. And I've heard a guy the other day that referred to that we've got it's the essence of you. The essence of you is not just, I'm going to sell this dude dental equipment. The essence is, I'm here to help my audience. If my audience wants to buy dental equipment, I'm game. If they want to grow their practice in another way, and I have social media people that can help them, I'm game for that. I love that. It's outside the circle but you got to be aware of it first, or you don't even think it exists.
Then that's the perspective switch. It's just saying, what else is out here? What else would this dentist need help with outside of my scheduling stuff? And there's a huge list, a gigantic list. How do I keep right? I mean, how do I keep my hygienist happy? How do I do that? How do I get new patients? How do I get cash payers? And there's all sorts of things dentists struggle with.
So go to your AI and ask your AI, what are the 10, and we're going down the dental path here. What are the 10 most common problems that dentists have in their effort to grow their patient list? And it'll come up with 10. And some of these things probably have nothing to do with you. In fact, I'd say most of them don't if you're selling equipment or supplies. But somewhere on that list is something that you could maybe engage a psychotherapist or a social media person and do a special event where you bring them in. So guess what? Now it's under your umbrella. It's your brand that's bringing that in, even if you're not the subject matter expert. It's me. I think that's huge. I just don't think we pay nearly enough attention to that.
Well, what I love about this topic and what I think is going to be so great for everyone in Insider in March is that we've been telling them to do these things for years and no one does them. And you're like, why don't people do this stuff? Well, you've hit this little thing here that their perspective is off. They don't see that, or they don't see it for what it is. And that's the magic, is flipping the switch in the brain to see it a different way.
Yeah.
Because you can know what to do. We've told you this. We've told you to do these things. People don't do it.
And once the perspective is changed and flipped, it's not just what we tell you. There's 1,000 other things.
Absolutely.
That have nothing to do with what it might be better, So it's a matter of opening our mind up to the possibilities, like you say, Bryan, the awareness around what's possible. If we do that, man, you don't need us to tell you everything. It all comes to you.
You'll tell us some new ideas, which we appreciate, and then we'll steal and put them on the podcast.
That's right. And we will not give you credit, no matter how much
you always give credit.
You pay us.
You will.
So if you want to take part in the Insider, make sure you join by March 6th. That's a Friday. Starts at noon Eastern till 1:15. The enrollment, the monthly tuition is $97 a month. You can come and you can stay. You can stay for the year. We've got people who've been in there 3 years. But make sure you sign up at advancedselling.podcast.com/insider. We'll put the link in the show notes here too. So
good episode.
Yeah, good job. All right. See you.
Bye.